Hey, Mori Mo here. I want to talk about the Book of Boba Fett today, specifically just Boba Fett over the course of his life in regards to his characterization. So, one of the things that you often hear said about Boba Fett is he's this ruthless, cold-blooded killer who has no mercy or compassion, and that the Book of Boba Fett is portraying a Boba Fett that's out of character for him. You may have heard several people saying things like this online. But this isn't really entirely the case. And, it's funny watching the show and having characters like Fennec saying that Boba Fett's being too soft, and Cad Bane telling Cobb Vanth that Boba Fett is a, quote, cold-blooded killer, unquote. And Boba Fett's definitely been portrayed as this kind of ruthless, diligent hunter, and he can certainly be that. But Cad Bane is ultimately wrong about Boba Fett. And we do see evidence of this throughout multiple series in Star Wars. So, like Din Djarin, Boba Fett has been a bounty hunter, and it's a job that requires both of them to be ruthless people. So we see that with the Mandalorian. We learn that Din is a fairly good person, and Boba Fett is kind of a similar way. He is working in a job that requires him to be very antisocial. But to get to my main point, Boba Fett has been shown to be a less evil person, a person who has the capacity for compassion, since at least 2011. I've talked about this in some of my other videos and blogs, especially comparing Boba Fett to his sister Omega, that Boba Fett is a person who strongly believes in justice. And so his compassion, his caring for other people, it's been on display since the Clone Wars. And I think many fans may have simply missed it or just forgotten it since these shows were made some while ago, almost 10 years ago. So I've compiled today all 5 instances where Boba Fett's compassion has shown through in Star Wars and how this relates to who he is now in the Book of Boba Fett. So number 1. The first time we see Boba Fett in the animated series is in the Clone Wars, Season 2, Episodes 20 to 22. And so he shows compassion multiple times in this show. When he's first introduced in Season 2, he's working with bounty hunters Aurra Sing and Bossk to kill Mace Windu, the Jedi that killed his father. So he's definitely driven by revenge in regards to his father, Jango. However, outside of outside of Mace Windu, who killed his father, he doesn't really wish to see anybody else killed. So there's multiple instances in this 3-episode arc where we see this. Anytime Aurra Sing suggests killing the children or the adult clone hostages, Boba always reacts with visible pain and dismay. He even takes it upon himself to give water and aid to the older clone hostages and says, "This isn't what I wanted," as far as them being captured or hurt. And then, of course, immediately after he says that, he gets a bit defensive and tells the clones, "I'm not a clone like you." And this is a trait that we'll see over and over with the young Boba Fett. He acts impulsively in a caring manner, but then immediately after, he kind of defensively pulls back. But this Season 2 episode arc makes it clear that despite Boba's quest for revenge, he doesn't like to see innocent people getting hurt. And this is ultimately put to the test when Aurra puts a blaster in Boba's hand and instructs the boy to kill a hostage. He cannot do it in that moment, and he looks away in pain and conflict. We will see that Boba Fett looks away from murder in the 2nd episode of Book of Boba Fett as well. When Boba sees the Nikto gang attacking the farmers, you see him look away in pain and disgust. So there are times when he's actively bounty hunting that he seems desensitized to violence, but when he sees innocent people being hurt, he is very much upset by it. So this isn't really what we're seeing in Book of Boba Fett when he sees the farmers being killed. That isn't a new reaction for him. We already saw that on the Clone Wars. So this isn't something of him being out of character. It's just more a return to how he is at heart, how he was as a child. So the clones tell Boba several times that they know this harsh bounty hunter exterior is not who Boba really is. It's not who he's meant to be. And as a boy, he gets defensive anytime somebody points this out, and it's pretty clear why. Boba loves his father, Jango. Jango Fett was his whole world as a child, and the only way he knows to honor his love for his father is to become him. But even Jango wasn't all that he seemed. Honda Onaka, in that same episode, tells Boba Fett at the end of the story arc that Jango Fett was an honorable man. So, at their hearts, Boba and Jango are men of nobility and honor. They and Boba's sister Omega strongly believe in justice and fairness. Boba and Jango may get put to the test with their jobs or work as bounty hunters, but if they're allowed to be who they truly are, they do want to see justice done. I mean, they're not completely without their vices. It's that same sense of justice that leads to Boba's desire for revenge. I mean, he's not a Jedi. He's not that compassionate or merciful. They don't turn the other cheek. And it's possible Omega's sense of justice could easily turn to vengeance too. But both of them see injustice towards others, and they seek to rectify that in their own ways. But the idea that Boba Fett is a cold-blooded killer with no moral compass, that's been wrong for some time in the Star Wars universe. Filoni has made it pretty clear that Boba is not this sociopathic, evil person. He never really has been. He's somebody who does a really hard job where he has to be ruthless for that, and he can be vengeful, but ultimately he does have empathy. And that's what we see with the Clone Wars, that he has empathy and he does have heart. And we see this again, this is number 2, in Season 4 episode, Bounty. So his Boba Fett's compassionate instincts shine through this Asajj Ventress episode in Season 4. And this episode shows a young teenage Boba Fett leading a bounty hunting team. So Asajj Ventress joins the band, and it's a really simple plot. Boba and the team have to escort a mysterious box to its destination. But we find out that the box contains this girl named Pluma, who's destined to become a child bride of this, really disgusting client. So when the box falls open, what's Boba's first instinct? He's immediately shocked to find a girl was in the box. And he immediately holds Pluma protectively and asserts that he will protect her. And that's who Boba Fett truly is. And it's one of my favorite moments in the entire series, because it's a very unguarded moment. It catches him by surprise. And his first instinct is one of protection and honor. But his true self must give way to the person he's supposed to become, the bounty hunter he must become. So he's a bit disappointed when Pluma slaps him, which is, understandable on her part. But that slap kind of knocks him into that mode of, oh, I have to be this heartless bounty hunter. I've got to be, tough and emotionless. But it's also a fun episode because it shows how dorky Boba Fett is. Contrary to some fans' memories of Boba Fett, he is constantly bested by others. He wins some, he loses some, and Boba ultimately winds up in the box that Pluma was in, and I thought that was kind of a funny scene. So number 3, and this is a really big one, is an unaired Clone Wars episode. And this shows Boba Fett's compassion just wide out in the open. So a couple of years ago, animation excerpts were shown of Clone Wars episodes that never saw the light of day. And this famous never-made episode was about Cad Bane and Boba Fett. So we know that Cad Bane was a mentor of the young bounty hunter. This episode would have shown some of that and how they parted ways, and it ends with a duel between the two. Cad Bane would possibly have died, and Boba Fett ends up getting the famous dent on his helmet. But, most importantly, we get Boba Fett stating outright that he doesn't want to see any more innocent people enslaved or harmed. Cad Bane says to him, always fighting for those in need. That's a quick way to end up poor or dead. And Boba Fett says in response, no more innocent people are going to die or be locked up or live in fear. And this is the most blatant display of Boba's compassion. This is not a ruthless, amoral killer. That's never been Boba. He is ruthless when his job requires it. He's ruthless in anger. But at heart, he wants a better world, as most people do. And then moving out of the animated series, we move to my fourth example, The Mandalorian. So when we first see Boba Fett in The Mandalorian, we can already tell he's a changed man. But like many forms of character development, in some ways this change is more of what Enigma once famously called a, quote, return to innocence, unquote. Or rather, it's maybe not so much innocence, but it's a representative of a man reevaluating his life and realizing what he truly needs. What did Boba Fett need all those years ago as a 10-year-old boy? Family. His anger over the loss of his father led him to clutching on to anything resembling him, no matter if they did not bring him to true joy or not. Bounty hunting was what his father did, so that's what he did himself to be closer to his father, but it doesn't bring him happiness. When Boba meets with Din Djarin, he has Fennec Shan with him. He has rescued the mercenary and become the first member of his new family. Boba Fett certainly wants his armor back. Of course it represents Jango Fett to him, and it represents his power, but he agrees to help Din Djarin in his mission as gratitude for returning the armor. It may seem at first that Boba telling Din that Fennec has her weapon trained on Grogu is cold-bloodedness on his part. However, I don't think Boba ever thought the Djarin would ever put the child at risk. Boba is more concerned with getting Din Djarin to stop and talk. Boba already knew Din would never see the child harmed. But ultimately, Boba does help Din Djarin on his mission. And so, in conclusion, Cad Bane is wrong about Boba Fett. And, furthermore, maybe Luke Skywalker was right all along. So, many fans have been wrong about Boba Fett for, a couple of years or so. And because Boba Fett is a complex character. As I said, he's ruthless when he's bounty hunting. He is prone to the vengeance. But all of that is out of a desire for justice. His first instincts, when allowed to feel them, are towards compassion, caring, and protection. He cannot bring himself to hurt his clone brothers, and his first impulse upon seeing a girl tumble out of a box is to help her. And while the dual episode of Cad Bane and Boba Fett wasn't made, Cad Bane showed up in the Bad Batch with a plate on his head, indicating the story happened off-screen, and that fight was over innocent people. So none of Boba Fett's actions in the Book of Boba Fett are out of character for him. He's realizing that his father's career of bounty hunting led to Jango's death. His way of making peace with that is doing something different. He will rule Tatooine, becoming a better, more fair ruler than his former boss Jabba the Hutt. He ensures the people who work for him will not work in vain. He wants to ensure the land's first rights belong to the Tusken people. Boba tells Fennec Shan that he is not soft. Realizing he needs family has made him stronger. Community is vital. The forced solitude of the bounty hunter did not give him fulfillment, and the loose alliances of bounty hunter bands did not provide true family either. These are things Boba Fett has felt for a long time since being a boy, but only now has he completely realized it. This is the real Boba Fett. So why did I mention Luke Skywalker earlier? Well, because long ago Boba Fett made his first appearance in an animated short, The Story of the Faithful Wookiee, from the holiday special. Luke Skywalker says of Boba Fett, "Boba, you're a hero and a faithful friend." Luke says, "You must come back with us." Immediately after, Chewbacca informs Luke that Boba Fett was reporting them to Darth Vader. But what if Luke's first instincts about Boba were right all along, and that it takes the audience over 40 years to realize that Boba Fett truly is a hero and a faithful friend? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll put a link to my blog below about this very subject, and you could check out my previous video about Luke Skywalker and Boba Fett. May the Force be with you.